All right, so let's talk a fairly interesting game here, in my personal opinion, in the Jets and the Packers, because this thing is sitting 7.5 in favor of the Packers. 45 is the total. I think we are starting to see two teams trending in opposite directions, Stephen. I think we are looking at a Jets team that seems to be getting at least a little bit better. And if anything, I think you would say the Packers are neutral, certainly not on the upswing. And if anything, maybe on the downswing. I've seen nothing from this team to give me hope that they're going to immediately turn it around. And so this one I just kept looking at long and hard and have not been able to pull the trigger and get it in the account yet. But man, does getting the hook with the Jets look enticing. Talk me off of it.
No, I bet it. I'm on Jets plus 7.5. Our lead writer, Eli Hershkovich, bet it as well. You can read his reasons why on the site. I think we have to give credit to Zach Wilson where it's due here. We last week said we're going to make him beat us. We're going to make him prove it first. And I was curious to dig into the numbers. I know he was facing a third-string quarterback, but he was facing not the quarterback. He was facing the Dolphins defense that was also banged up. But this was better Zach Wilson than what we saw for the majority of his rookie season. He was above average in EPA and success rate metrics among all quarterbacks last week. He was above average in completion percentage over expectation. So I think we need to at least consider the fact that this is a quarterback going into his second year that had his preseason cut off, that didn't get to play for the first month of the season, and now is finally getting full practices again. And he's got a bevy of weapons around him. And the Jets offense in this game against the Packers should control the line of scrimmage. They are 12th in run block win rate. Green Bay is 22nd in run stop win rate. PFF and Football Outsiders has the Green Bay defense bottom 5 against the run. This is a bottom 5 in rush EPA defense and dead last in rush success rate allowed. We've seen multiple times this year the Packers defense not be able to stop the run against the likes of David Montgomery and Saquon Barkley. So I think Breece Hall is in for a pretty good spot here with a good offensive line against a struggling rush D. And then Zach Wilson can just, frankly, simply distribute the ball to a core of wide receivers that I think are pretty good. Garrett Wilson's already a top 22 wide receiver by PFF grade a few games into his rookie season. Arrows pointing up for him. Corey Davis has proven that he can make big plays in this league still. And then Elijah Moore hasn't even gotten going, and the reputation on him is an elite route runner, but they just haven't utilized him as much. So I think this is an interesting spot for the dog. It wouldn't shock me, honestly, if the Jets win this game outright. I think Aaron Rodgers being 17th in dropback EPA, like Eli dug into the numbers, like he's never been this low in dropback EPA. Like even when he's had other struggling years by his standards, he's never been this low in dropback EPA. So I think the offensive line for the Packers being below average in blocking win rate is affecting him. I think he's obviously missing Devontae Adams. And then you have a Jets defense that's the 4th highest pressure rate at the 4th lowest blitz rate. Like Robert Saleh's got himself a little mini Niners defense going here with the Jets through the first month or so of the season. So if you look at the numbers, I'm not sure why the Packers are 7.5 here.
Yeah, Adam, I look at this one, and I mean, one of the things that was interesting to me is since they got Zach Wilson back, the Jets' offensive EPA has been better than the Packers' EPA through the first 5 weeks with Aaron Rodgers. Like, I mean, this offense has actually been better from an expected points added aspect than the Packers have with Aaron Rodgers. And then I think one of the deals that is kind of at least being a little bit overlooked when I've heard people talk about this game is just the fact that, look, we thought this Green Bay defense, we thought the offense might struggle just a little bit as he works in to like try to get, familiar with these rookies and stuff. Christian Watkins, by the way, still can't like get out at practice. So they're not going to get any chemistry because he can't practice in full. So your de facto number one becomes Randall Cobb at 37 years old or whatever it is. And so if you're throwing to dust, I mean, it's going to be tough to move the ball fairly often, but I think we thought that was at least a possibility. What we didn't think was a possibility was this defense being as average or below average as it has been through the first 5 weeks of the season. And I don't see a whole lot of things here that lead me to believe that this is an aberration or that this is going to turn around. I mean, when you really dig in, it's like they're just not doing a lot of stuff very well, specifically on early downs, allowing teams to move the ball on early downs and get in second and third and short. And like that is very tough at that point for a defense to have a lot of success. And so I kind of look at this and wonder if the market is kind of just still valuing Aaron Rodgers as Aaron Rodgers, you know, the god of in football or whatever, and looking at Zach Wilson as still this kind of like scrub, whereas maybe there should be an adjustment both directions.
First of all, Dust would like a word with you. Currently, Dust is 12th in PFF yards per route run. Dust has an 85 PFF grade. Now, Dust would also probably be matched up with Sauce Gardner pretty regularly this week. So I'm not sure that Randall Cobb is a guy that I want to base my evaluation on. But to your point, Matt, how are we going to evaluate Zach Wilson? Well, Zach Wilson by PFF grade is 11th since coming back, which is, I guess, a lot better than we would have expected from a guy who was bottom 5 all of last year. That being said, getting to betting the Jets 7.5 on the road requires me to trust that. I don't trust that. I don't. And I can't get to the point of placing the wager. Now, my theme this week is going to have a lot to do with just because your numbers say it doesn't mean you have to do it. My numbers would say bet Green Bay. I'm not betting Green Bay, just to make clear. This is not a matter of confidence in Green Bay. My evaluation of this comes down to I trust the fact that the market is saying they're leaning toward the Jets. I trust everything you guys are talking about here right now. So this game is a pass for me.
Can I ask Adam a quick question real quick on that? Because I think this is interesting for novice bettors as well. Adam, you mentioned your numbers. How did you deal with the Jets, considering that Flacco was the quarterback for the first few games and now you have Wilson? How did you deal with that situation?
So I didn't actually change it a lot because they let Flacco throw the ball quite a bit. And frankly, allowing Flacco to throw the ball wasn't the worst for them in terms of how they performed early in the year. Now, yes, there is a difference between those two quarterbacks in terms of power rating, and if you want to talk about dealing with that situation directly, but for me, it's not more than a point between Joe Flacco and Zach Wilson, at least until Zach Wilson puts a little bit more in front of us in terms of what he's able to do. So I actually didn't change my handicap on the Jets that much with Zach Wilson coming back.
If you take a look, guys, it's actually fairly shocking. Like, out of a clean pocket, Zach Wilson has been elite, like elite. And so we know that Green Bay, for all their defensive deficiencies, they blitz a ton, right? So, I mean, are those blitzes going to get home and disrupt, the pocket for Wilson? Because if that's the case, he does drop off pretty significantly when pressured, right? And so I think that really is going to be the key here for Green Bay. If they can pressure Wilson, then I think, they probably can scrap out a win here. If they don't get pressure on him, I think he's going to be able to move the ball in this defense, who's been really, really vulnerable so far this year. And one last little thing is we've talked about teasers and how teasers have kind of bit us this year. Look, this falls in that, hey, home team down to 1.5 thing. Never even considered it this week. I mean, literally never even considered it this week because of all the, touchdown favorites we've had over the last, few weeks or whatever. I feel like Green Bay is kind of ripe to get picked off here. And so didn't ever consider a 7.5 down to 1.5. I don't know about you guys.
No, never even. I saw it. It fit the mold. Didn't even think about it.
Yeah.
Green Bay is a work in progress still. Like, we can talk about priors all we want with Aaron Rodgers, et cetera. They're a work in progress still. They got to show it. If they could lose to Saquon Barkley and the Giants, and they could have trouble with Bailey Zappi and the Patriots, they can absolutely have trouble with this Jets team as currently constructed.
Adam, did it even get kind of any second thought from you this week? Because I know a lot of people are going to look at that and say, wait, I can get the Packers down to 1.5 against the Jets.
It didn't. And I know you guys were both on Green Bay in London in the teaser situation last week against the Giants, and I didn't join you in that because I didn't think that.
Smart man.
Well, you're going to find out later when we talk about another team that you guys like that I'm not that smart. But I just decided that I did not trust the efficiency of Green Bay's offense, especially while they continue to deal with offensive line injuries. It's amazing to me that David Bakhtiari can't get on the field healthy. And Elton Jenkins is also questionable this weekend.
Yeah, so for me, again, it's a Jets or pass, and I can't believe I'm saying that, but it is going to be a Jets or pass for me. Certainly going to be Jets in the contest for me. I do know that.